So good morning, everyone. My name is Tunde Deru. I'm with GlassPoint Solar. I'm the Director of Sales for GlassPoint. And in my capacity, I'm responsible for sales and project development in America.
I'm Michael Dixon. I'm the project manager for Aera Energy.
Okay. So by show of hands, how many people have been here consistently over the last 5 years? Okay. How many people know of GlassPoint? Okay. So if you've been here over the last 5 years, you might have heard my colleague, John O'Donnell, speak about GlassPoint. GlassPoint was conceived in Fremont, California, born in Kern County on the grounds of Berry Petroleum, McKittrick, raised in the Middle East when we did our first pilot project with PDO Oman, and then we're ready to come back home. So if you've been paying attention, which I'm sure you have been, to the news, you must have seen this, which Richard spoke about, which is the Belridge solar project. Over the last 2 years, Michael, Dixon, and I have become very close buddies. We've worked closely and tirelessly together on this project. So we're going to tag team today, and Michael is going to take the first segment of this presentation, and then I'll come in after Michael speaks.
Thank you. All right, so before I jump into Belridge Solar, let me tell you a little bit about Aera Energy. For those of you that are not familiar with us, we are a joint venture between Shell and ExxonMobil. Together, Shell and Exxon provide over 100 years of oil field experience. Now, Aera Energy is a California-only company. We've operated for about 20 years, and we pride ourselves on being responsible and safe operators of our oil fields. If you think about who we are, we provide about 25% of all of California's oil supply. So we're a pretty large contributor here in California. Now, to transition to Belridge Solar, I'm going to show you guys a video to get you started and understand a little bit about the project. So if you can look at the monitors. Pretty exciting, right? So when I look at this project, I am thrilled to be able to be here and actually speak to you about it and introduce it to you guys. So if we look at some of the facts about Belridge Solar, it's pretty astounding. It's the first of its kind in the world. So it's the first project to bring together both solar thermal energy and solar electricity to power oil fields. It's pretty incredible. When we look at the size of this project, we're talking about 850 megawatts of thermal equivalent energy. That's over 12 million barrels of steam that will be supplied to our oil fields every year. We also have 26.5 megawatts of electricity that can be supplied. That's equivalent of powering about 6,600 homes. You know, when we put these together, it becomes the largest peak the largest peak solar project in California. So it's huge when you actually think about how big this is and what it means for our county as well as our state. The project also is a first in many other ways. So one of the other unique pieces is we'll be actually combining not only solar energy, but we'll be balancing that with the traditional methods for steam and electricity generation. And what that means is we'll have a unique synergy that is unparalleled anywhere in the world, where we'll be ramping up and down equipment to actually modify the outputs of our traditional methods to match what the needs are for the oil field relative to what happens with the solar. So when a cloud rolls over, we ramp up. When a cloud goes away, we ramp down our traditional equipment. That's something that's never successfully been done in the world. So we're doing things with this project that are truly unique and astounding. Now, one of the things I like about this project so much is that it fits perfectly within the Aera culture and our needs. We pride ourselves on being environmental leaders, and this allows us to take a step forward and continue down that pathway. It really underscores who we are as a company and supports our ability to deliver to Californians the energy that they need in a reliable manner. If you look at the renderings, you can see what this project actually looks like. And to get a scale of what this is, we have about 700 acres of glass houses that you'll see. We have 240 acres of solar PV. Together, we'll have over 1,100 acres of overall project footprint. And one of the nice things about this is it's all put on private land, and it is all in pre-disturbed land, so there's minimal impact to the environment. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about this project, so I'm going to move on to the next slide, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about why Belridge Solar. Why did we choose to do this project? The first item is environmental leadership. So I already mentioned we pride ourselves on being environmental leaders here in California. And with this project, we're able to offset about 4.8 billion cubic feet of gas burning every year. 4.8 billion with a B. That's an incredible number. What does that translate to? That translates to 376,000 metric tons of carbon emissions that we're actually taking out of the environment every single year. That's about 80,000 cars off the roads. So with this project, taking 80,000 cars off the roads, that is about as many cars as we saw transition from standard fuel over to alternative energy fuel, so electric cars, all the way through 2015. But with one project, we're going to be able to equal that. Now, we'll also see improvements in the quality of the air here in Kern County because of the emissions reductions, and we'll see further NOx reductions that exceed or that add to the CO2 reductions as well. But there's other community benefits that come forward with this project. With those benefits, we'll see about 500 jobs created here in Kern County during the construction. That's an enormous impact. We'll also see millions of dollars coming to the state and to the county, which will be distributed through the normal processes, which otherwise would not be coming through to us. There were other considerations when we were talking about how do we do this project as well and why we do it. One of them was state and federal public policies. Over the past year, we've seen numerous things happen. So cap and trade was extended, as well as the low carbon fuel standard, which both supported long-term, reliable knowledge of what was going to happen in the future. So we could understand how the policies would be changing, what to expect, and we could actually make investments. Additionally, we saw tax benefits associated with the federal tax incentives for alternative energies. Those things together really help provide a basis for actually investing in a project of this nature. So we're very excited to actually see that stuff happening so that we can actually invest in a project that's long-term. And really, if we look at cap and trade and low carbon fuel standard in particular, this project really underscores what can happen when you have market-based policies in place. It allows industries like us to actually invest into the future. So we're very happy to see that happening in California. Additionally, this project is going to benefit from having a unique location. So we're at the Belridge oil field, which is about 45 miles northwest of town. The Belridge field provides a lot of advantages. One is the land, which I referred to earlier. So 100% of the land that we're going to identify for this is pre-disturbed land, which minimizes the impact on the environment. Another huge piece of the land is it's all fairly flat and it's contiguous, which allows us to reduce the cost. That's something you don't see a whole lot of areas where we have a land position this large that we can utilize on a project. Another benefit of Belridge is it's right here in Kern County, which, as you heard Lorelei talk about, is very pro-development and pro-business. And that helps substantially be able to get a project like this off the ground. So if we look at that and we say, how are we progressing on this project? Well, what I'm happy to be able to tell you is we have a very strong team of both Aera and GlassPoint employees, as well as numerous contractors that are helping us progress this project. We've gotten to a point where the engineering and development is advancing very rapidly, and I'm very pleased with the progress that we're seeing there, as well as the various other activities that are really required to get a project of this magnitude off the ground and going forward. So we're making very good progress, and we hope to break ground and plan to break ground in 2019. So it's very exciting to see this thing come to fruition after 2 years of very, very hard labor. Now, you might be wondering also, why GlassPoint? Why did Aera choose GlassPoint? When we were selecting a company that we were going to partner with, we really wanted to look at both technology and partnership through the lens of what is valuable to Aera. So when we look at how do we minimize the impact on the environment, for example, we really have to look to the technology. So the technology that GlassPoint offers is really, really unique. So they have these glass houses, which Tunde will speak to in a little bit more detail, that helps isolate the external environment from the thermal production. Now, that helps preserve wildlife, for example, and it helps protect the wildlife. Additionally, we're looking for a company that understands the values of the community that we do. Now, GlassPoint is a California company as well, so the benefits that go to GlassPoint also go to the community here in California. So there's a good match there as well. And then the last item that really was important is we need someone that had a proven technology. Their technology has been proven in Oman, and we've actually gone to go out and see that facility. And it was really neat to be able to see what this thing looks like and see that it actually can function in an oil-filled environment, which can be a very harsh environment. So, to show you a little bit about what that looks like, I'm going to hand it over to Tunde, and he'll show you a video that shows what they're doing in Oman and what we can plan to expect here in Kern County. So, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So in a few minutes, I'm going to introduce you to Mira. Mira in Arabic is Arabic for mirror. So I noticed when the presentation on the Belridge Solar was going on, you guys weren't moving to the beat. So I encourage you to move to the beat, right? It's really, so please do that. So meet Mira. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. So I want to put a plug in for Lorelei. Simply amazing. Thank God you're in Kern County. So, and I'm going to hope that the next time you show something about energy, you would have GlassPoint, greenhouses, and all production behind, like you did with the solar and wind. So, so why GlassPoint, as Michael said? One of the GlassPoint is the only solar company that is focused on solar for oil and gas industry. And the GlassPoint, when it was founded in 2009, was founded on the innovative idea that putting mirrors inside greenhouses would lead to breakthrough cost reduction. So when the founder started in 2019, they looked at the traditional trough technologies then. They were all outside, they were bulky, and they felt, why don't we put it inside? And as we tested that concept of putting it inside greenhouses over the years, from our pilot project in McKittrick to the pilot in Amal in Oman, to the biggest one of the largest solar plants in the world in Oman, which is Mira, we found breakthrough cost reduction in our technology. And with this breakthrough cost reduction, we've been able to offer all producers the lowest cost for steam. So you might wonder, how does this work? Michael spoke about the ramping up and down of the steam generators when our facility is on. So 2 things you need for our facility to work. One, you need to have sun, obviously, and then the second is water. So we use the same type of water that the traditional boilers use in the oil fields, and the water goes through receiver pipes, as you can see in this diagram. And as the water goes through these pipes, through the length of our greenhouses, the mirrors we have inside that greenhouse tracks the movement and the rays of the sun. As it tracks the rays of the sun, it focuses the rays of the sun onto those pipes, and as it focuses it onto those pipes, the water in the pipes the temperature of the water in the pipe increases, and as it increases, the water begins to boil. And as the water boils, ultimately, it finds its way inside the reservoir, and we're able to use it to recover oil. That is what is going to happen in Belridge with the Belridge Solar Project. So one of the unique things about putting mirrors inside greenhouses is a drastic reduction in cost. The moment you put these mirrors inside a greenhouse, you reduce material costs for your mirrors by at least 90%. With a 90% reduction, you don't need a lot of this huge support, as you see in the image, and then you can have like 4 guys, people not as big as myself, carry it and install it, and they do that effortlessly. So with doing that, putting it inside greenhouses, when you do that, you shield the mirrors from wind loads. And if you shield the mirror from wind loads, the amount of money, capex you need for material, for labor, and installation drastically reduces. So it's just very simple. The simplicity of our technology makes operating costs very cheap. So I used to work for Berry Petroleum. I worked for Berry Petroleum for 5 years. So when I look at myself, I consider myself a hybrid. Half oil, half renewable. So very effective, right? So with GlassPoint, with our technology, you can reduce your operating cost because we've used very simple materials. The mirrors, lightweighted, simple, not exposed to the environment, unlike traditional trough technologies, whereby you have to clean mirrors consistently every day. Secondly, because it's in greenhouses have been tested and trusted over the many years. And with this tested and trusted, it helps reduce the cost of the items inside the greenhouses. Finally is the roof wash, automatic roof washers. With the automatic roof washers, we clean our greenhouses every night. So during the day, you would expect peak performance from our greenhouses. So Michael spoke about the benefits of this, the project Belridge Solar. One of the main benefits, one of the attractions, one of the draws for our technology is also the soft benefit it provides to the oil producer. The Houston Chronicle says it makes sense to do this. The National Resource Defense Council urges energy collaboration. And then Assemblyman Rudy Salas just feels that, look, this helps create more jobs in California. So from an economic standpoint, from a social benefit standpoint, this is the way for us to go in Kern County. Going by what Lorelei said, how do we become intentional about our future in oil and gas? I'm very passionate about this industry. Straight out of high school, I worked with Schlumberger. So I'm an oil guy through and through, as well as a renewable guy. And I believe in the convergence of energy. In California, we import a lot of our natural gas that we use to recover our oil. It's time to keep that money in California. Secondly, oil and gas, as we all agree, has good paying jobs. Keeping those jobs in our county is very important. And this method allows us to do that. Also, the California Air Board Resources estimates that if 30% of enhanced oil recovery adopts solar steam technology, we can reduce our greenhouse gases emissions by 2 million metric tons annually. It will be a great day to see that the oil and gas industry is the one reducing the most carbon emissions in California. That would be a good story to tell. And finally, because GlassPoint was born in California, in Kern County, and we're back in Kern County, we're also interested in the success and the future of Kern County from an energy standpoint. We want to still remain the leader in renewables. So I'd like to invite Michael back. I want to thank you for listening to us. If you want to know more about GlassPoint, we have a table over there. And we have what is very cool. We have a virtual reality tour that you could put on the 3D glasses, and then you can take a tour of the Mira plant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.